All right. All right.
And the kids were figuring out a way, like we stopped doing metal detector.
Fox, really?
Overnight, Democrats lost to Mr. Trump in 2016, praising Harris in a New York Times op-ed, writing, "I know she can defeat Donald Trump," but warning Mrs. Harris's record and character will be distorted and disparaged by a flood of
Good evening, everybody. Hey, Dr. Lamb. How are you?
I hope everybody's doing well. Somebody else is. All right. All right. The materials that I'll be using tonight, welcome everybody. The materials that I'll be using, they should be in your shell. If they're not, I will post them when I send out. I'll make sure they're attached to the video recording.
Joe and I supposed to go walking this evening.
And Dr. Lamb,
Dr. Lamb,
I went and looked.
Legs were hurting from yesterday. So we were about 4. Yeah, we did about 4 or 5 miles.
Ms. Austin, we can hear you.
All right. I just unmute yourself now. I've muted everybody.
Dr. Lamb,
yeah.
I looked in the Blackboard Shell 605, and I don't believe any of the interview materials are there. When we switched over to the Ultra, I don't think they.
I think they didn't make. I don't think they made the. They didn't make the cut.
So I don't think any of them are there.
All right.
Any
So
of the
I'll make
Blackboard.
sure to send them out so everybody will have a copy of them. And so I can do that. That's pretty easy. That'll be the easiest thing that we have going on. Okay, let me write myself a note to do that. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with our agenda again tonight. Thank you for everybody for being here. Let me pull this one up. All right. we'll cover the 4 types of assistant principal interviews. I have materials that go with all of those. I'll make sure that you have a copy of all these things. We thought they were in the shells, but again, the conversion over from Learn to Ultra Blackboard this summer, some of the things didn't make the cut. All right. Remember that everybody should have already applied for graduation that's graduating this summer. I know that we don't have a ceremony, but you still graduate next week. So make sure you have applied for graduation if you've not done that. I will send you a document that looks like this, how to apply for graduation. So make sure that you have done that. Now, for those of you who are in 603 12-month program, you will be graduating in December. Make sure that you go ahead and apply now. Those of you that are in 604, if we have any of those that are finished, anybody that's graduating in December should apply now. If you apply after Labor Day, they'll charge you another $150 late fee.
I'll try this. It's your appointment. You can do whatever.
Okay, so make sure that if they charge you a late fee, you're graduating this summer and you haven't applied, they will charge you a late fee. There's not a thing in the world I can do about that. I can't fix late fees. We can avoid them by making sure if you're going to be a December graduate, if you're in 603 or 604 this summer and you finish in December, make sure you apply now for graduation. I can't say that enough times. I cannot get you off the hook on that $150. They're going to charge you $150, but they'll charge you another $150 if you're late. All right, so that's that. Back to this. All right. A lot of work's been coming in task stream where you need to be, you should have your evidence is already wrapped up. You should be working on, for those of you in 605, with Dr. Sanders, Dr. Tobias, Dr. Stedman, Dr. Stone, you should be knocking out the last of your portfolio items. Make sure you understand when you finish your competency folio, you have to follow the directions and upload in your DRF for evaluation. Everybody's doing really well on that. I've been very pleased. But now at 9 o'clock next Monday morning, I've already done the completer list and I put everybody's name on it. I've got a spreadsheet with everybody's name on it. And I'll have to start taking them off next Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And you'll have to roll over to fall. And if you don't complete your portfolio, what we have to do in that case is if you don't complete and you complete your course, we have to sign you up for Mel 699 for the fall. Now that used to be no big deal, but now it's about a $2,000 deal. Let me say that again. Mel 699 is a $2,000 deal. They charge you 3 credit hours at 500 and whatever it is, $40. Plus they charge you all the fees and all that stuff. And so it gets to be quite expensive. They charge you a technology fee. They charge you a portfolio fee. So it's about $2,000. So make sure that you understand everything that you got to get done and get those done. And we're running through those things daily to make sure that they're up there. Again, I will have to make a decision at 9 a.m. on Monday whether you're a completer this week or not. I don't have a lot of wiggle room on that. And then you will complete, things will be over with. Now, we're putting on your verification forms that you're graduating on July 31st. So that some districts, you have to be completed before August 1st for them to let you interview for a job or take a job for the fall. So your diploma is going to say July 31st. And we're putting that on all the verification forms, the documentation. We're putting July 31st. That's why it's imperative that you have everything in on the 29th. Because we're going to let you graduate 2 days early to meet that August 1st deadline. Jermaine, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Quick question about the verification form for South Carolina. So do I just email that form to you and then you will submit it. Well, I know the top part is what we do.
You
but
fill out the top part, you send it to me. I'll fill out the rest and send it to Miss May. She'll stamp it, sign it, and then she'll send it back to you. Now, I'm glad you asked that question, Tremaine. Don't send them in. Let me say that again. Don't send anything to DPI in North Carolina or the Department of Education in South Carolina until about August 6th at the earliest. Let me say that again. August 6th at the earliest. When you request a transcript, it has to be an official transcript. I don't think official transcripts will be available before August 6th. It may be as late as August 10th. But if when you request a transcript from Gardner Webb, if it still says unofficial, wait, don't send that. What happens is if you send yours to, I'm gonna get in front of everybody else to send mine on in, and you don't have an official transcript with it, they'll put you at the bottom of the pile. Until even when you go resubmit it, when you get an official, you'll still go to the bottom of the pile. Wait until you get an official transcript. Now, I've been told they'll be available on August 6th. You know, I was told my hair wouldn't fall out either. So you see how that worked out. Make sure that it's an official transcript that's got the stamp on it before you send it to DPI or the Department of Education, along with your either Form V for North Carolina or your verification form for South Carolina. Now, I'll be glad to, to fill them out before then, but don't send them. I talked to Miss May earlier. Now, what we normally do is about next week, we'll send you one top with the bottom part already filled out. If you want to go ahead and download one from the website, from DPI, from South Carolina's website and send it to me, I'll be glad to do it and send it on. But again, if you send it in too early, there's an idiot tax for sending them too early. They put you at the bottom of the barrel. So make sure.
So, I'm sorry, Dr. Lamb. So, would I email that to you on Monday, or when is as soon as I can send
any
that?
day you want to. I don't mind. I'll fill it out for you and send it on to her, and we'll get it stamped, and she sends it back to you. You have to hold it until the appropriate time to upload and send it is the important part here. We normally handle those next week, but if you send it this week, I don't what's time to a pig. I don't have anything else to do. I'll be glad to fill it out. But students think when we fill them out and send them back that they're clear to send them to their respective state departments. You are not. You're not clear to send them back until you have an official transcript to go with it. That's the driver in this, not the form, is the official transcript.
Sorry to cut in. Is this the same form that Ms. May was referring to in an email that she sent us?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So who
she's already sent the notification out to the North Carolina people.
Yes. So I guess are South Carolina people waiting or?
Yep. We're going to send those out next week.
Okay. Got it.
I talked to her earlier today. We're going to send those out. Again, it doesn't take that, we're trying to do the audits and get everybody through this week. And so next week we'll have more time after Monday at 9 to handle all those forms. I'm trying to monitor her workflow and not overload her.
Okay.
She's the only admin support I've got. And so you know how that is.
Making sure we were talking. I was thinking about the same form.
Yeah. The North Carolina people, all she has to do is click a button. So, but South Carolina, it's a little more involved. And so we prefer to wait till next week to start the South Carolina people. We try to time them so that they don't all come in at one time. We've got the better part of 100 people finishing this summer. So it's quite time consuming. Yeah. But she'll be in touch with you next week on the South Carolina. But if you want to go to the website, download the South Carolina, make sure you get the right form now. South Carolina people, let me show you the right form here. All right, I'm going to show you the wrong form. Don't send me this one. Credential verification form. About half the ones when people download them themselves, they don't send me this one. Send me this one that says service and leadership fields, verification of educator preparation. That would be us. And you fill out the top, I'll fill out the middle part and all the way down. And then she, excuse me, Miss May fills out the bottom, stamps it and signs it. You got to fill out the top right here, just like this one's filled out. I fill out the middle. Now, the trick on this one is, let me stop my camera just a second. I'm still with you. I go by where you did my recommendation for South Carolina, as you can see, elementary and secondary is divided. I check the box according to where you did your internship. Now, if you're one of those people who thought ahead, and I've got a couple, and got internship hours at least one semester at both, remind me of that in the email, that you did your internship hours at both elementary and secondary, and I'll check both boxes for you. Otherwise, I will check the box from where your evidence work was done, your clinical work was done. Now, North Carolina people, don't listen to this. If North Carolina people don't listen to this, North Carolina is straight K-12. There is no differentiation in North Carolina. This is only for South Carolina people that they have split the certification into two different ones. So, North Carolina people, you'll get a straight K-12 administrator's license. South Carolina, you'll either get elementary or secondary, or if you've done clinical hours at both, you can get both. But that's according to where you did that. And it'll look just like this, and then she'll sign it. But this is the appropriate form to send to me from South Carolina. Make sure your top part is filled out. I'll fill out the middle part. Remind me of which one you want, or if you got hours at both. And then I'll get her to sign it. She'll send it back to you. She has to put a stamp and seal on it. She'll send it back to you. You hold it until you get your official transcript that has the stamp and seal that says official transcript. You hold it until then, and everything will be good. And then send it in. Again, I'd be looking for it August 6th. I mean, you can look before then, but I think it'll come out somewhere between August 6th and 10th. All right.
Dr. Lamb.
Hold 1 second. All right, I'm back with you. All right, for those of you who are not completing this summer, make sure that you get these things done. That will be the 603 people that are with me this summer. The 603 people that are with Dr. Caton and Maraglia, and the 602 people that are with Dr. Sanders. Here are the things that you're supposed to do. Now, make sure that you understand each of those and have all your things done so that you can matriculate on to your next class. Please remember, as always, that enrollment is automatic. You don't have to do anything. As long as you pass it, you go on to your next sequence. Everything is good. And there's all the requirements for that. Now, 605 people, those of you who are finishing this summer, please remember, you will still graduate July 31st. There just won't be a commencement. The commencement will be in December. You will be invited to come to that. And so, let me look at my calendar. I've got it right here.
I think it's the 13th, Dr. Lamb, but we don't have any details about what time.
You're exactly right. So on Friday, December the 13th, we will have commencement at Gardner Webb. Now, the good news, and I'll stop my share. The good news is it's a one day deal in the fall. Quisha, you got a hand raised, you got a question?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to clarify. You were saying if you live in North Carolina, we're supposed to receive a email from Miss May.
Mm-hmm.
And when was she supposed to send this out?
A few days ago.
I haven't received it, and I think I have another teammate. She said she haven't received hers either. What are we supposed to be looking out for?
An email from Julie May. I don't know what this is. It's popped up on my screen. Oh, Randy's got his. I don't know what this is. Randy, what you got on the screen here for us? Anyway, let me look and see right quick. Let me share my screen again.
I received it. So
I beg your pardon?
I received it.
You did?
Yes.
All right. I'll have her resend it. That's not a big deal. Again, you don't need it right yet. We don't need it right yet. Let me go to my email. Right.
It looks like she sent it out on May 17th. There's an email. Yeah, it's sent out on May 17th, Dr. Lamb. At about
Right here.
12,
July 17th. This is from July 17th, right here. And so there's the people she sent it to. So right here it is. This is the one that she sent. I will resend this one. I've got it. I've got a copy. I'll resend this one tonight as well. There's the people on there that she sent it to. Looks like she missed one group maybe, because there's only about, there should be a few more than that. I'll send it, make sure everybody's got it tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Let me stop my share again. All right. Let's talk about graduation. Generally, what happens again, in December, it's on a Friday. It's a one-day deal. Now, in the spring, it's a two-day deal, but it's a one-day deal in December. We'll have a general ceremony in the morning. Dr. Stone, was it 9 or 10 this last time? I think
the general, I think, was at 9.
9.
Then the others started at 11.
All right, so that means you need to be at Gardner Webb at 8 o'clock. You got to show up an hour early, and you're going to come to Boss Gym. This will all be told to you later on, but I'm just going to give you the heads up. You got to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you're coming from a long way away, you might want to get a hotel room. If you're coming from a long way away, because it's going to be an all-day deal. We can't guarantee when the College of Ed ceremony is going to be later that day, but we don't know how much later that day. If it's at 9 and we're out by about 10:30, hopefully our ceremony will be at 11. But that's not a guarantee. We had one recently, I believe it was it December 4 last? We didn't get to go again until
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. The first one was at 9. The second one was at 5. I don't know who made who mad, but seriously, we started the first one, the college one, at 9, finished at 10:30, and we had to wait till 5 o'clock to start the College of Ed. So we won't know, but you know, in a perfect world, you have the first one at 9, it's over at 10:30, and you have the second one at 11, and you're on the road by noon 30, you know, something like that. But we can't guarantee that. So you'll have to make an executive or leadership decision about what you're going to do. So now, if you need a room, there's only one hotel in Bowling Springs. The Americ Inn by Wyndham is the only one. It books pretty quick. You have the standard hotels in Shelby, North Carolina. And they'll be expensive because they know when graduation is. They'll charge you an arm and a leg. Your best bet is Gaffney, South Carolina. Let me say that again. Your best bet is Gaffney, 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 South Carolina. Gaffney is roughly the same distance from Bowling Springs, North Carolina as Shelby is. It's only 15 minutes away. I mean, it's on the same road. You just pass the college and keep going to Gaffney, and they have a better hotel selection. They generally don't gouge you near as hard. It's just as easy to get there in the morning. So I would look, if I were you, I would look in Gaffney, South Carolina for a hotel if you're coming. That Wyndham Hotel there in Bowling Springs, which is a mile from the college, is, I don't know. Last time I looked on graduation day, they charged like $400 for a room. It's really expensive. You can find like a Holiday Inn or something like that in Gaffney probably for $125. Shelby, it'll be closer to $200. So go ahead, and if you know you're going to come and stay, you need to be looking for a room here before long. You'll get the information on your cap and gown, all those things. Make sure that you follow through and order your stuff from Jostens. Your cap. They won't let you participate in either ceremony without regalia. I'll just tell you that now. You got to have your regalia to participate in either ceremony. Now, I'm always asked, what's the difference in the two ceremonies? Well, at the Gardner Webb ceremony, the big one that'll be in the basketball arena, we'll all process in. And when it comes your turn, all you will do at that one is you will stand up and wait. And you'll stay seated. You do not have your name called. You do not cross the stage at the big one. The only students that get to do that at the big one are the doctoral candidates. Dr. Stone and I will be in line with them. And we'll get to go up on stage and we'll put the hoods on. So if you're just, if you're a master's candidate, understand you will process in with your group. When your name is called, when the group's name is called, you'll all stand up and wait. But you won't have your names called individually. You will not cross the stage. Now, for the College of Ed ceremony later in the day, we'll process in. You will get to cross the stage. I will put a hood on you there. And you'll get your diploma cover. You'll circulate down and around. You'll get your swag bag with all your bag with your t-shirt. We'll have the sizes laid out. All the merch, all the swag will be there. You'll get to cross the stage. You'll get your name called. By then, this Santa Claus beard will be full. I'll be sweating like I stole something, and so you'll be wet from me hugging you. But it's that one is special. The college one is good, but again, if you're going to make a decision here, that'd be up to you. We'd love to have you at both, but you get your name called. You get to cross the stage at the College of Ed for clarification. All right. Questions about graduation? Again, it'll be in December. There's no longer a summer ceremony. All right. So I think that's pretty much everything. Now, if you're interested in a doctoral program, we're making one last push for doctoral candidates. If you're interested in a doctoral program, either organizational leadership, educational leadership, or curriculum instruction, you need to get in touch with me or Dr. Stone. We'll forward it on to Dr. Putnam if you're interested in curriculum. If you're interested in organizational leadership, I'll talk to you, or me or Dr. Stone talk to you about ed leadership.
And Dr. Lynn, if I can add, we have classes up in Goldsboro for that eastern part of the state, and we have classes in Charlotte. So we'll try to accommodate you wherever you are. Just let us know as quickly as possible, because I do think that closeout date's coming soon, isn't it, Dr. Lynn?
Yes, I think August 2nd. To put your application in. Now, please remember, doctoral programs are residency programs. But they're weekend residency. So three weekends each semester, you have to show up at your residency site. Otherwise, the classes are online like these. But there are 3 residency weekends in each of the 3 doctoral programs. But as Dr. Stone says, we do those out on location. Dr. Stone and I will be in Goldsboro this coming weekend to finish up. We got a group out there right now. So we do those main campus, Charlotte, Thomasville, and Goldsboro. For the fall, we're looking at 2 in Charlotte and 1 in Goldsboro for the fall. We'll come back to Thomasville at some later point. And sometimes we have a main campus, 1 in Bowling Springs for the people in the West. But we got 20 solid so we got 2 cohorts for LS right now in Charlotte. We've got a solid cohort for DEOL in Charlotte for the fall, and she's got a pretty solid cohort in Goldsboro in curriculum and probably 2 in Charlotte. And so again, 3 weekends, it's all day Saturday until early Sunday afternoon, 3 times a semester for those, but that does your residency requirement. Those programs are very expensive. They're about $40,000. They're 63 credit hours, and they're $600 a credit. So you do the 610 plus fees. So you do the math. They are expensive programs. They all require dissertation, a 5-chapter dissertation at the end. The difference in the programs in terms of the sequence is the LS, the leadership superintendent certification, and the curriculum specialist, EDCI, they compact the courses into 2 years. And then your 3rd year is dissertation full-time, where you don't have to physically go anywhere. The organizational leadership doctorate, again, 3 years, but their courses are spread over 3 years rather than 2. So that plays into the expense of residency. So yes, you have to go 3 times a semester, but you only have to do that for 6 semesters in EDCI and EDLS. You have to do it for 9 in DEOL. Organizational leadership. But we'd be glad to talk to you about those. The good thing for those of you coming out of this program is the evidences, the 6 evidences in either EDCI or EDLS will be a breeze. You know how to do them. Y'all have already done them. They're the same things, just at the district level rather than the school level. So y'all can do those standing on your head. So you'll have no problem with that. The 800-pound gorilla in a doctoral program is writing the dissertation. But how hard can it be? I wrote one. So it can't be too hard. And we've got some people on the screen who've done that as well. Dr. Mary is on the phone, looks like right now, but she's one of ours. And so, yeah, the dissertation is a bear. It is everywhere if it's a real program, but it's not anything that you can't do. If you've written the evidences for these programs, you can write a dissertation. It's much the same. All right, let's talk about interviewing.
Interviewing, Doctor, sorry to interrupt. I have one more graduation question.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm showing my age, but as far as I guess, are there any rules as far as guests? Like, do you have a certain amount that you can invite or
no
tickets?
Bring everybody you know.
Okay.
More the merrier. We have the general one is in the basketball arena, and we sit on the floor and the guests sit in the stands, so there's plenty of room. And then we always have ours where there's plenty of room, since we're the biggest college by far. So this past December, we went right back in the basketball arena and did ours again. So bring as many people as you want. We'd love to have you. That's a good question. All right, praxis. That's a good question too. South Carolina people got to do the praxis. North Carolina people, none of you have to do the praxis. Now, we're going to have a new exam starting for the people who start in the fall, but none of y'all are starting in the fall. So not to confuse anybody. South Carolina praxis, yes, 5412. North Carolina, no praxis. That's going to change next month, but that's next month. And even if you're not done, even if you're continuing on, if you have finished one course, you still won't have to take it. So y'all are all good. South Carolina people, 5412. Required for licensure in South Carolina. North Carolina people, no license, no praxis exam. Good question. Let me check through the chat and make sure I've answered all those. Okay, let's put that in. Sean put the link to the South Carolina certification forms. Thank you, Sean. You don't need to order a diploma. They'll give you those. Those come automatically from the registrar. Now, the way they do that, that's a good question. I'm glad you reminded me of that. The official transcript will be available by August, somewhere between August 6th and 10th. Your diploma will be drop shipped from Jostens. And unfortunately, you might be as old as me before you get it. It takes a while. I think last summer, it took about 8 weeks to get their diploma from Jostens. But they'll be drop shipped. So people who are graduating in December, yours will come. They should be drop shipped. You should get, those of you who are actually graduating this summer, again, the ceremony won't be until December, but you should get your diploma in the mail in about 8 weeks as well. You don't have to order it. It comes automatically from Jostens. But again, your transcript will be available in early August. Your diploma won't come until sometime in September. All right. I think that was all the questions I had in that. Dr. Stone, you got anything else? All right.
No, sir. Got it.
All right. Let me look through here. We have any other faculty with us tonight? I saw Dr. Maraglia with us. I'm sure there's some more here somewhere. I just hadn't seen them. So I don't think we've seen anybody else has anything else. All right, let's talk about interview. I have a number of documents, and if they weren't in your shell, I apologize for that, but I'll send them out again. But I want to work through with you tonight on interviewing. Generally, to get your first administrative job, regardless of whether it's North or South Carolina, there's 4 distinct levels of interviewing that you've got to go through. One of the things that we have seen some lately is some districts, because they're short personnel, they've shortened the time. They haven't changed the number of things. So let me see. I had another question here. Will you receive emails about order regalia? Yeah, you'll get it from the registrar. Yes, from the registrar. The registrar sends out regalia. They handle that. They'll send you that email. That's a good question. All right, back to interviewing. Let me focus on that. So one of the things that has happened with interviewing is that sometimes they're doing 2 or 3 of the different levels at the same time on the same day, which is kind of crazy, but used to be there'd be a week or 2 in between them. Sometimes they're just doing them all together to try to shorten the process. For those of you who've been in 603, you know that due process, there's substance and procedure. There's about 9 things they got to do, but who does them and when is always the part that varies. And so we would see the first round, whether it was a pool or we'd see some different options, and then a second round, which was more of a group interview with parents and what we call civilians, and then a third round with professional educators, and then a fourth round with the person who actually is making the decision, the area superintendent or the superintendent. What we're seeing now is sometimes these are getting compressed, and also that sometimes they're doing multiple levels of the first round. They're not just picking one of the first round types. So understand that it's going to be variable to your district, but this is the process that you're going to go through. So let me start with that document. Let me share my screen. And here are the 4 types of interviews. You've got for you, those of you in the bigger districts, you do applicant pool interviews. Sometimes you have to get into the pool in order to become an applicant, or sometimes you're just interviewed as you know, you're in the pool and you start interviewing for jobs. Again, the bigger districts like Charlotte and Wake, you have to interview to get into the pool, and then then they pick up with the second round interview after that. So that first applicant round of interviews can either be like a strength finder type interview of dispositional behaviors, or it can be a reasoning activity, or it can be a virtual, or it can be a data analysis, or some combination of those kinds of things. That's the first round of interviews. So let's look at those individually. Dispositional interviews, those match that Strength Finder book in 605 when they're talking about your attributes itself. That's the kinds of things that they'll ask you. Now, that's where you tell them I'm honest, I'm forthright, I'm hardworking, I have this skill set, your dispositional behavior. They'll ask you questions related to that. Now, here are the landmine questions that you will get for those. If you get any of these wrong, you will get flushed out of the process. All right, the first one is law and policy. They'll ask you a question like, if there's a law or policy in your district that you don't agree with, that you think's bad for teachers or students or parents, would you enforce that law or policy? And of course, the appropriate answer is yes. If you've had me for 603, you hear me preach every week. They hired you to follow law and policy. That's your job. So they'll ask you that question. They'll ask you, are you an on-time person? That's another one of those landmine questions. Wow. And should you tell them? Yes, always. I had an AP come in one time at an early start high school and said, I'm not an early riser. I'm not a morning person. Well, I'm not hiring you. I can't depend on you to be here when we start at 6:30. They'll ask you that. They'll ask you questions about working hours, work-life balance kind of questions. Let me say this right now and dispel any notions that you might have had. There is no such thing as work-life balance for school administrators. That's a myth. That's a Yeti. That's a Bigfoot. That's a unicorn. It does not exist. There is no such thing as work-life balance. The building won't get any closer. Because you get the job. The traffic won't park like the Red Sea so that you can get there. Your personal responsibilities, childcare, whatever, won't change. And so if they ask you those things and you can't answer honestly and forthrightly that you can be there when they need you to be there, then they're not going to hire you. They may ask you a question like, if it paid exactly the same, where's my man Sean? Sean, are you there? Sean Ferguson, are you there?
I'm here just trying to work technology, boss.
All right. You're a little slow there. All right, Sean, if it paid exactly the same, would you prefer to work with teachers or students if it paid exactly the same?
Teachers.
There you
Actually,
go.
take that back. I'm working with students because that's the job of the principals. We're there for the students.
There you go. If you say, "Oh, I love working with kids," they'll let you keep on working with kids. You just excuse yourself from the process. You're changing careers. You're moving from working with kids in a classroom to working with adults. They're going to ask you some kind of a question that lets them know that you know that you're changing jobs, you're changing careers. And if you tell them, "Oh, I don't like working with adults, I don't like conflict," well, they'll let you keep on working with kids. They'll ask you, "Do you enjoy competition?" In some way, they'll ask you, do you like being competitive? Do you like competition? And the answer to that question is yes. We're in a competitive environment. Oh no, I don't like conflict. I don't like competition. Then you can't be a school leader. You got to compete every day, score wise, achievement wise, but you've also got to get, there are other options out there. You've got to be competitive in the marketplace. You've got to thrive on competition. You got to understand that's got to be one of your dispositional behaviors. And then the last thing that they'll ask you, sometimes at this level, they'll definitely slip this one in at the third level, is about your strengths and weaknesses. So that's a landmine question. Here's the answer. Your strengths always have to be things that are dispositional. I'm honest, I'm hardworking, I'm on time, work till I get the job done. Those kinds of things, those things won't change about you. Those are your strengths. The weaknesses that you identify are all based on inexperience, because you can fix those. I haven't done teacher observations. I've gotten myself certified to do that, but I'm going to, and I'm going to get up to speed. I've seen Power School from the teacher portal, but I haven't seen it from the administrator. I haven't used it, but I'm going to learn right away. What they're concerned about there is that you can't pull your weight and that everybody else has to pull it. That you know what you need to work on. That it's simply experience based. Dina's sitting here with us tonight. She's sitting in the role. Dina understands that the number of teacher evaluations at her school is based on the experience level of the teachers, and that we have to follow through. If this beginning teacher needs 4 observations, we got to do 4. Does it matter to the state that one of your administrators has not been approved to or got trained to do that? That doesn't lessen the number of evaluations that has to be done. Those discipline incidents have got to be entered into Power School. They can't sit on somebody's desk until somebody gets trained. They've got to get in there within 48 hours. That's what we're talking about. You need to identify things you can and can't do. Now, South Carolina people, y'all go on your own and get trained and do observations. North Carolina people, most of the time, your district runs NESIS training. See if you can get involved in that to do teacher observations. But your strengths have to be based on your character, your dispositional behaviors. Your weaknesses, don't say I don't have any. But your weaknesses can be based on an experience. They know that. They know that this is your first time out. Dana, if you could unmute yourself, and I hadn't prompted her in any way.
Hi, Dr. Lamb. Yes. Question.
How long did it take you to get up to speed as a new AP?
I was fortunate enough that I had worked in a leadership position before becoming a school administrator. So I really was fortunate in the sense that I had a principal that really took me under his wing and really taught me everything. One of the things that I tried to do was immerse myself and learn as much as I can, whether it was, after school hours, before school, anytime there was a district committee, I was, willing and able to be a part of that. So again, it builds relationships with others that are outside of your school. And it also gets you known out there in the district. You know, when they see your application come, you know, before them, they can say, oh, I know who that is. They've done this, this, and this. And it also helps that when you're on the interview, that you can speak to that. Super important as well.
Yes. It takes a while, and you can be doing this. On your own, getting your skill set up. Mary just asked a good question. Dr. Mary just asked a good question. What should you be first priority? Teacher evaluation training. Those, you cannot step outside of that sequence. The state says this teacher needs this many evaluations. That's set in stone. And you do a matrix with, you know, this teacher needs this many, and you divide them up. You got to be able to, you got to get in those rooms. Remember, what do they do at Jones Sausage? They make sausage. What do we do in public school? We teach kids. Instruction drives our business. That's our core competency. So while Power School is important, it's number 2. Number 1 is teacher observations. You got to be able to get in those rooms and know something when you get there. And if you're on the team and you can't do observations, then somebody else is having to do that for you. We can't say to the state, well, we had one administrator that wasn't trained, was new, so we didn't do a fourth of our observations this cycle. That's not how it works, folks. Y'all know due process. Y'all been through 603. The substance of it says that they get this many. The procedure is you got to follow through and do that many observations. So I can't stress enough how important it is to be able to walk in and hold up your end of the bargain. Yes, you're going to learn and grow, but you got to get up to speed quickly. You can't put all the burden on your colleagues. They won't like that. They'll give you a little, you know, they'll give you a little grace for a while. But, you know, thinking about our county where Dina is, I had a friend that was high school principal, and he said, I'm gonna have to let this AP go. I said, why? He said, well, you know, she won't go get trained to do observations. She thinks if she doesn't get trained that, you know, she gets stay in the job. Everybody else is killing themselves doing observations. She won't get trained, so she won't have to do them. She thinks that's an option. Not hardly.
Another thing is just organizing your time. You know, make hard deadlines for yourself. Really super important. This year, our school is growing. We have over 50 staff members, and it's the principal and myself, and we will be doing all of those observations. Out of those 50 staff members, 14 are brand new teachers.
Oh my.
So supporting them as well. You know, really important. I have a spreadsheet, and there's deadlines and dates on that spreadsheet. And if I'm sick, whatever the case may be, I drag myself in there because that's what we do as school administrators. It's not for the weak, I could tell you.
No, there is no, thank you, Dean. There's no such thing as work-life balance, folks. It's we work till we get the job done. And you know, going back to 603, we know what due process is. You know, we've talked about that, and we have to follow through on due process. The state says this is due process for these teachers. These beginners get this many. You know, not only is it, you know, an instructional support thing, as Dina said, it's also a legal thing. So we have to follow through. So if I were saying, what are the things that I think you ought to be your first priority? Make sure you can do teacher observations, number 1. Number 2, that you can manipulate Power School, that you can enter disciplinary data in that, because there's rules on that as well. You know the Bible, that disciplinary data reporting manual. Those of you who had the unfortunate to pull the short straw to have me for 603 knows that, you know, we really stress that thing because it's the rules. So those are the kinds of dispositional things that they will ask you. Now, let me share my screen. The beauty of 601, I can go ahead and close that. The beauty of 601 is we taught you the one that you'll get for data analysis. That what you did for the app cell, they may give you something like this. And this is actually one that the student was given, and they gave them all the same things that you pull together when you put your app cell together in your first evidence. They had all that stuff right here already, and they ask you to come up with an action plan to address their instructional program. Right here it was. That's become very, very popular. Now, let me see. Is Liz with us tonight? Liz Schreiber, is Liz with us? Okay. I just got an email this week from Liz. She just got hired in Concord and Cabarrus County Schools, new AP there. So congratulations to her. So her first round went like this. They did a 30-minute time activity. They did the reasoning activity. I hadn't talked about that yet. They did reasoning. They did the group activity. They did the group interview. And then they did the performance based. They did a performance task. This one was providing feedback to a teacher. Watched a 15-minute video. So your performance task may be something like coming up, they give you the data, they give you a PowerPoint and you study it and then you come up with a plan, or it may be they give you one of those 15-minute NESIS videos where where you watch a teacher teach for 15 minutes and then you give them feedback. That's a performance task. So they're one or two ways. Either you do a data dive, you look at the data, come up with a plan for the data, or they give you a NESIS video. They're 15 to 18 minutes long, and you give feedback to a teacher. That's a performance task. That could be your first round. Now, if they do they could do a round robin kind of thing. Usually this is the second level. Here are the kind of questions that they would ask you in a round robin. That's usually the group activity, but sometimes they're doing it again. They did this one first day with her. They did 3 different ones first day to try to shorten the process. Talk about your role in MTSS and PBIS as an assistant principal. What would your role be? What decisions you made professionally that you regret? Don't tell them, I got that DUI. Don't tell them stuff like that. What would you expect to see when you go into a classroom? How would you help a teacher with a bullying issue? They may do the group interview where they fire these questions at you, round robin. They may do that the first day. Normally that's the second day. Or the second interview, but they may do that. They did all 3 with her in her first. So now a reasoning activity, you can tell this one is old because this principal was out for a week and only got 22 emails. I get that before I get up in them. But they gave her a shorter one that was like a 8 emails. This one has 22. And you have to tell what you would do with each of these. It's reasoning. What would you do with each one of them? What action would you take? And the reason from each of these emails that you got. Now, this particular one also has a landmine part to it as well. You had to categorize each of these 22 emails in one of these 4 quadrants: urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, and not urgent, not important. Well, quadrant 4 is like spam, something like that. Not urgent, you just delete those. The landmine is quadrant 3. Take a second to look at quadrant 3. If you put an email in that one, that's a landmine. You're done. How can it be urgent if it's not important? That's a reasoning issue right there. So if they give you a number of emails, they may just ask you what you're going to do with them and why. Or they may ask you to categorize them in something like this. If they ask you to categorize them, be very careful to understand that There may be a quadrant that there shouldn't be any in. Think about it. It can't be urgent if it's not important. It can be not urgent and not important, but it can't be urgent and not important. Think about that. So that's a reasoning activity. Generally, they use emails to do that. These are all part and parcel of that first level interview that you can have. I'll go ahead and close that one. All right. So that's the first level. Now, the second level interview is when you have civilians, people who are not professional educators. You have parents, community members. If it's a secondary school, you may even have students. The trick on this one is very simple. What you say may not be as important as how you say it in this one. They're looking to see if you can communicate with different stakeholders in our business. For example, don't use acronyms, and then don't use an acronym and then say something like, oh, you don't understand that because you just called them stupid. MTSS, PBIS, those kinds of acronyms. PLCs, civilians don't know what that means. They're looking to see if you can communicate with various stakeholders. Your language has to change. So here's the PowerPoint that goes with that. Okay. Describe what you perceive as your leadership style. When I'm asked that on your references all the time, I just put either transformational leader or servant leader, according to which one of those I think you fit best from having interacted with you. You can't say that to this group of parents. They don't know what transactional leadership is. They don't know what transformational is. They don't know what servant is. What you do, you have to describe yourself. Earning respect and trust of the parents, child-centered, focused on issues, avoiding personal conflicts, striving to be impartial, courteous, respectful, response to issues, positive, approachable, open to change and new ideas. This would be the definition of a transformational leader. Again, you know that you've had 605, you know the different leadership styles, but you can't shortcut it and say I'm transformation or I'm servant, because your audience won't know what you're talking about. Question 2, assessment drives instruction. How would you help new teachers begin to understand you today? Well, I just work with her in one-on-one or small group PLCs. This is a PLC question, except civilians don't know what a PLC is. And so basically what you do is you describe what a PLC does. They do data analysis, development, teaching strategies based on the needs of students, and plan collaboratively. Isn't that what a PLC is? That's the answer to the question that you give, rather than saying, oh, we'll just do it in PLCs. Now, if we were talking among ourselves, of course, that's what we'd say. But that's not. So this whole slideshow is about the kinds of questions that you will get that you would normally just use acronyms or jargon from inside the business. How do you interpret that for stakeholders who are not inside the business? And there'll be a professional educator or two in there, and what they're most interested in to see if you can communicate, if you with all the various stakeholders that are in the room. That's what they're watching to see. Or do you say something, use some acronym or use some term and it's, oh, you don't understand that. That you take the time to speak to people in language that respects them and shows that you value them and that they understand. That's what they're looking for in that group interview. That's why they're bringing those people in, to see how you interact with different stakeholder groups. All right, that's your second level interview. Your third level is your professional interview. This is where you get to show off everything that you know. All your jargon, all the inside, you get to sound like a real insider on this. And they'll ask about your 5-year plan. They'll ask about your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. You can use all this. They'll ask about discipline. They'll ask all the the kind of professional questions in this that your classes have prepared you for. Now, they'll also ask you that strength and weakness question when they get you comfortable. Again, your strengths, they're dispositional. Your weaknesses are simply based on inexperience. Don't get so comfortable that you let the cat out of the bag on this one. All right. And then so here's the document that goes with that. Let me close that. School administrator interview questions. Tell us about your background. They're going to see how well you mesh with their backgrounds. Your work experience, they want to know what you've done. Why you want to be this, what's your professional goals. They'll ask you, these are inside kind of questions. These are not when you have the civilians in the room. But they're also going to ask you about your strengths and weaknesses. Make sure your strengths are always dispositional. Your weaknesses are based on inexperience. You can fix that. So these are the kinds of questions you're going to get asked when you have that professional interview, that third round, when you're with school leaders only. All right. And then your fourth level interview will be with the superintendent or the area superintendent. And they're going to ask you big picture things. SC ready, college and career ready, future ready, 21st century skills. They're going to ask you the big ticket items like that. They're going to try to project if you can be a principal or not. They'll ask you questions in that vein. They're not going to ask you about bus duty. They're going to ask you bigger. Do you have a bigger view? Do you have a holistic view of the business? Are you ready to transition to this new career? Can you see the bigger picture? And I've got some documents in there for that. I've got one that's 6 steps to implement 21st century skills. The superintendent's not going to ask you what they are. He'll assume you know what 21st century skills are, or she. They'll want to know how you're going to implement them in your school. If I hire you, how are you going to make sure it happens in your school? Just knowing what they are, it's not a pop quiz. Everybody knows what they are. How are you going to implement them in your school? How are you going to make sure that this happens at your school? Future ready. You know what it is. How are you going to make sure it happens at your school? What's a graduate of your school going to look like? SC ready. What are your folks going to look like? College and career ready. What's that going to look like? What are you going to do to make sure that happens? That's the kind of things. Now, I'm going to pause for a second here. Dr. Stone, you hired a lot of principals as superintendent. Dr. Stone recently retired superintendent out of Caldwell County. What were you looking for when you were doing these?
Well, when they make it up to me, they pretty much have proven themselves to a lot of folks. So usually at that level in which I'm interviewing someone, I've got great confidence that they've already made it through those steps, because if the other teams don't want them, I certainly am not going to be interviewing. So when they get to me, it's a matter of trying to choose between 2 or 3 really good folks. And so probably the thing that stands out to me is enthusiasm. I want someone who really enjoys and wants to be a principal in my district. I want someone who wants to be in my district. I want them to know a little bit about Caldwell County. I want them to know about kind of our mission statement and our values. So someone who's researched Caldwell County schools and have looked at everything there is going to be well prepared. The other thing, other than that enthusiasm and knowing a lot about my county and a commitment to it, the other thing that I really like to see, Dale, is for them in the interview to Dr. Lamb, is to mention oftentimes that they are about relationships. The principalship is often an isolated position. It's kind of up there. You may have other colleagues and mentors, but the bottom line is, you represent that community, and people are going to come to you, and people are going to lay their problems on you. They're going to lay a lot of stuff on you, and your personality and your how you can build those relationships is very important. One of the worst things for a superintendent to hear is that this principal thinks they're God, or this principal doesn't listen. This principal thinks that they know it all. So that third piece, Dr. Lamb, class, is that I'm looking for someone who's got a real sense of building relationships and understands that just because you're principal, it doesn't really mean you're the smartest person in the building. It doesn't mean that you are God and you have arrived. You're just you are leading that school, and I put confidence in you to lead it. And that means to bring the staff along with you, not to alienate them, to bring the students and parents along with you too. So the culture, you have a lot of control over that. So I am really looking for that relationship. And again, you've made it all the way to me. So the teams below me, they have confidence in your ability to turn around and to analyze data and to do those kinds of things. So I'm just looking at, are you a right fit for this school? So you've got to convince me that you're a right fit for Caldwell County, but you're also a right fit for this particular school that you're applying for. And nothing will turn me off more than you applying for all 15 schools in the district, or you can't make up your mind whether you're elementary, middle, or high. I mean, if you want to apply for Happy Valley, that's where I want you to be. And I want a commitment out of you too, that you're going to give it 110%, and you're going to be there until I call you and tell you I need to move you somewhere.
Very good. Again, big picture. What are we trying to do here? What are we trying to do at this school? And know that school and know what's going on. But when you get with the superintendent, you're trying to, that you're a quality person, that you've already worked through all these stages, but it's the big ticket, the big ideas are, can we trust you? Or will you do like Barney did on Andy Griffith, the first season of Andy Griffith? When Andy left town to go to Raleigh, Barney deputized Otis to town drunk and gave Gomer a gun. I mean, we got to trust that you are not, are that quality person, that you want to be there, that you'll do what it takes, that it's not a time issue, it's not a work-life balance, that you are the right person. Big picture, can I trust you with the keys? Do you know what we're doing, what our mission vision for the district is? Is it college ready? Is it 21st century? Is it future ready? Whatever that, and all districts have one of those is their vision. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that means? That's what we're talking about here. Are you that person? Now, unfortunately, sometimes people think when they get that audience with the superintendent, that last interview, that they can just ask questions, whatever they want to. And they say, you have any questions? All right, that doesn't mean anything. Here are the things not to ask the superintendent. When will I be promoted? That's what he's just said. You'll stay there until I need you somewhere else. The superintendent can't tell you before you even arrive for your first day when you're going to get the next job on up the line, or get to go to a better school in the district. And don't ever say that to a superintendent. They're a better school. I mean, they're all, we want somebody who wants to be there. So when will I be promoted? What kind of salary? Again, salary is dependent upon years of experience, education, those kinds of things. I mean, that would be, that there is some negotiation on principal salary, not really on assistant principal. That's all determined by the scale. So the superintendent's not going to talk to you about that. When can I expect a raise? Well, if again, if it goes up as AP, now principals, their raises are, their bonuses are dependent upon growth, but you're not in that. Again, there won't be a raise coming from the superintendent. It will be, the General Assembly if there's a 2%, 4%, or whatever. So again, superintendent's not the appropriate person to ask about a raise if you're interviewing for an AP job. Again, what sort of flex time? Again, there is no such thing as flex time. There is no work-life balance. You can call it flex time or you can call it comp time. That's illegal. There is none. We've talked about that before in personnel. There is no such thing as flex time or comp time. If your district's running that, that's on them. If they get caught, then somebody will go home. But there is no flex time, comp time. State does not allow you to pay for work that's not occurred. And so, and again, that notion of work-life balance, we want somebody that's dedicated to be there. And any question shows you haven't been listening to what the superintendent was talking to you about. So those are things not to ask in your interview, especially with the superintendent. People think, well, I finally got an audience. I'm going to get one off and I'm going to ask Michael. Don't do it. That will end you. All right. Let's see. Things to take with you on your interviews. Make sure you got a current resume. Shouldn't be more than 2 pages long. Your resume shouldn't be more than 2 pages. And it, most important thing, it should not have any gaps in it from the time you graduated from high school. Let me say that again. It should not have, from 18 years of age, I should know where you were every year of your professional life since you were 18 years of age. If you've got a 2 or 3 year gap, you might have been in prison making a license plate for all I know. I should not see a gap in your, if you were at home, say I was at home. I had a military dependent, Lorraine Bickerstaff. Loved Lorraine. She got a job recently, a new job. And she said, but sometimes I was waiting tables so I could get, back in teaching when we get deployed somewhere else. Then put you waiting tables. That makes me want to hire you even more. But we're worried about what we can't see, what we don't know. We're waiting for the shoe to drop. I better not see a gap in that resume. You better need to tell me I went to college here. From there, I either went to graduate school or I got my first job here. I was from here to here, here to here, here to here. I should be able to linearly track your entire career from your resume. I want all your education put together. I went from this school, this school, this school, this school. I went from this job, this job, this job, this job. Don't spend all your, don't use up all your paper on all the stuff that, this is not a LinkedIn profile. I don't care if you're a thought leader. I better not see that on your resume. Thought leader. Oh my Lord. Bill, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Now I graduated high school in '93, and I worked in hospitality for a long time, and then around when I was 2008, I went back to college, become a teacher, didn't get my first job till 2014. Is that a problem?
No, absolutely not. I want to
do
know
I need
I want to know everything you did from the time you were 18 years old.
So, I worked in a lot of different restaurants and
That's fine.
hotels. Do I have to put that on a resume or just explain it?
No, I was from here to here, here to here, here to here. You don't have to explain it. We just want to know we just want to know you wasn't in prison.
Oh yeah, okay. I wasn't in prison, so that's good.
I want to know you weren't in prison.
So do I put it on the resume, from?
Absolutely. Again, don't put all that stuff about all these skills that you got and thought leader and this and this, that. I don't care about that crap. I want to know what you've done.
So just say I worked in hospitality for
Yes.
17 years.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And this is where I did it.
Not like specific restaurants, and because I really can't remember.
No, but we need to know that you had a job all that time.
Okay. All right.
And that you were, that was your first career. Now you're looking, your teaching was your second career. Now you're looking for a third career. That's fine.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Dr. Lamb, there's some awesome skills in the service industry.
Absolutely. One of the best teachers I ever had at the high school level spent, a whole career doing hospitality and entertainment.
I like to joke around that I was a frontline sales rep for a multi-million-dollar company as a server.
Yep.
But
yeah. But see, that tells us what kind of person you are, if you have work ethic or not.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Or did you take unemployment for a year or whatever, and waiting for the perfect job to come along? We're looking for go-getters. We're looking for people to get after it. So that current resume, make sure that current resume has current references on it. At least three to six references. And now it can't just be all your friends. We need an immediate supervisor, a peer, and maybe somebody, from college, in your professional training program. I do them every day. I do multiples every day. And so, at least those three.
So I talk to you and use you possibly as a reference?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. They'll want somebody from a professional preparation program. They'll want a colleague, somebody that has, that has watched you work, and they'll want one from a supervisor. And make sure that their email and phones are current.
Okay, thank you.
Because remember, somebody's got to follow up with these references. Don't make it hard on them. All right. Now, a cover letter. You should have a half page to a page cover letter that on top of that, that's on top of your resume. And it should be specific to that school. Now, you just heard Dr. Stone say, he wants you, if he don't like it when you apply for all 16 schools. If you want to be in Happy Valley, he wants to hear on that cover letter that you want to be at Happy Valley.
And I don't want it to whom it may concern.
No. You can look it up. You can get his name. What I'm talking about, that cover letter is personal to that particular one. Now, your resume, if you're applying for 4 or 5 jobs, then you need 4 or 5 cover letters. It needs to be specific, and it don't need to be your LinkedIn profile either. Doesn't need to be that. It needs to speak to, I want to work at this school in this county. I know something about it. Your references. Now, a strategic plan. Now, you can't have a strategic plan, but what they want to know is, that all the different parts of the organization. So instead of a strategic plan, what you can do is make a 2-pager on the 6 evidences that you did. Just summarize what you did for your 6 evidences, a 2-page evidence summary. And what that shows is that all the different facets of the organization, which would be a strategic plan. That how to put together a school improvement plan, which is, again, a strategic plan. The 6 evidences that you do in the MSA program mirror the process that we go through, and Dina can tell you this, to build the school improvement plan at a school. That's the strategic plan that we're talking about here. You can do a 2-page evidence summary of that. You say, well, they may not ask me for that. They may not. But again, that's common to you, and you can use it anywhere you go. If somebody asks you for what you got. The other is your portfolio, and that we have you do a competency folio. That's your portfolio, not the 6 evidences, the competency folio. That's why we have you build it separately, where you can publish it, give somebody a link, and they can see the work that you did during your clinical. That is your portfolio. That is the evidence of the work that you've done. That's why I told you, as many pictures as possible is always good. People like pictures in those competency folios. As many pictures, but yeah, they can see. That gives them proof of the work that you've done. So the strategic plan is a 2-page evidence summary. Nobody wants to read all them evidences. And then your portfolio is publish and share the link to your competency folio. That's what that is. I tell you what, principals tell me all the time, APs, when they're trying to make a decision, they've got 2 good, strong AP candidates that if they've got something and they can actually see the work that they've done, that really balances the scale in that favor of that person, because they can see the work that they've done. Now, it won't make up, if you've been in prison for 3 years, it won't fix that. But again, if all things are even, that competency folio is really a good thing. It really is. All right, and I believe I have an example, an old example of the 2-page evidence summary. Here it is. Now, it must have worked. Let's see who it is right here. I believe Matt Riker just got promoted to high school principal in Gaston. He was at John Chavis in Cherryville in Gaston County. This one right here is on the school board. This one right here is now assistant superintendent. And so, yeah, it works. It worked for this group. I had 6 interns at Cherryville High School back in the day. They were in class. We were in seated class over at Ashbrook High School back in 2011. How long ago has that been? Good Lord, that's 13 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. All of them had great careers, by the way. I see Matt regularly. His son's going to be across the road over here next year, going to college. But I'm telling you, this works. It absolutely works. It
But
got
I'm not
all
quite
these,
there yet. I'm waiting.
all these people got in.
That's for all the people that's getting ready to interview now.
And so, you know, I brought this one. As you can see, we've had good success with people doing this. So 2-page, just summarize your 6 evidences, what you did, and that will serve as your strategic plan. A link to your competency folio is your portfolio, references, cover letter, resume with references, no more than 2 pages, no gaps, since you were 18 years old, no gaps. All right. And then finally, my top 10 for interviews. I'll make it big enough you can read it. Dress for success. I don't care what level interview it is. I don't care if it's a cattle call, that first one where everybody just comes in. I don't care what it is. Dress for success. I don't care if you wear a wig, wear your good wig. I had an AP candidate came in one day and he had his work wig on and it was kind of caught to the side about 15 degrees like kids wear their ball caps now. I couldn't tell if he's talking to me or the fellow over my shoulder. I couldn't hire him. Wear your good wig. It's a true story. I hate to say that. I'm a small person. Wear your good wig. Dress for success. Take your 2-page evidence summary. Again, you need to show them that you understand how to put together a strategic plan, school improvement plan. Remember, school improvement plan is the top of that triangle. You've seen me do it 1,000 times. It's supported by, the school improvement plan is supported by, on one of the cornerstones is your budget. The other one is your master schedule. But we operate off of our school improvement plan. That is our roadmap. That is our guide as building level administrators. If you don't understand that process of the school improvement plan, how do you expect to get improvement? Back to what Dr. Stone said, research both the school and the administration, look at the state report card, teacher working conditions survey, know the background of all the administrative team, know everything about the school that you're applying for. You're going to need it when you get to the superintendent. And it's also helpful at that 3rd level, that professional interview, that you can speak to people about their language and their experiences. So make sure that you've done your homework well on that particular school. Know what you don't know. EVOS, Power School, Power Source, RTI, PBIS, MTSS, all that stuff. When you say, what do you mean? Know what you don't know. You know those things theoretically if you've been a classroom person. You won't know them fully until you get in the role, as Dina explained to you. So don't walk in like I'm an expert at EVOS. No, you're not. I'm an expert at Power School. I'm an expert at, what used to be called Power Source. That's NESIS observations. No, you're not. You might be trained, but have a little humility about yourself. Now, I don't have any. I have more ego than ability, but I'm not trying to be an assistant principal again. You need to show some humility. Know what you don't know. Acknowledge, I've had some training in this. I understand it. I might have used it some, but don't walk in as if you know everything in the world. That never goes well for you because you're talking about people who are in the role. They know more than you, trust me. But be able to speak to instruction in the bottom line. Now you can claim some expertise there that you know that the reason why we're here is student achievement. Again, what do they do at Jones Sausage? They make sausage. What do we do in schools? We teach kids. Our goal as school administrators who don't teach a soul is student achievement. That's what we're there for every day. That's our core competency. We're there to be champion for kids, not a champion for teachers. Try to have a humorous anecdote about how you were able to turn a negative into a positive. Have a bad wig story of some sort to get a laugh. to lighten the mood. You may need it from time to time. Be prepared to discuss hours and responsibilities honestly. Again, the building won't get any closer to your house because you got the job. The traffic won't park. You know, your personal responsibilities with your family, your children, your parents, elder care won't change because you got this job. Be honest about that. I've told the story 1,000 times. I went to Hickory Grove. It was in September. I was on my way to Fayetteville to teach class. We were still seated. I was teaching at Fayetteville Christian School for Gardner Webb. And I stopped to see Aquanetta at Hickory Grove. And I asked her how her new AP was doing. She said, I've already fired her. Wasn't but 4 weeks into the school year. Why in the world did you fire her, Aquanetta? She said, well, as you know, this is Hickory Grove. We've got one of the original Smart Starts. We've got 2 campuses here. One's a pre-K and one's a traditional elementary. We've got 1,000 kids at each one of them. Buses, we can't run both schools at the same time. We have to, start one and then get that one started, then start the other one. So the elementary is late start. We don't start till 9:30. We go from 9:30 to 4:30. And, get the kids off campus. Teachers can leave at 4:45, 5 o'clock, really before teachers can leave, that 30-minute deal. They can't leave until 30 minutes after the kids do. So I hired her first week. She came in and said she was leaving every day at 4 o'clock because she had child care. Had to leave every day at 4 before we even let the kids go. I told her, you can go now. And she did. That's what we're talking about here, folks. I told you, I was an early start principal in Charlotte Met. We started every morning at 6:30. The bell rang at 6:55 for the kids to be in the room. Tardy bell rang at 7 o'clock. We got out at 2:15. Don't come and tell me that you can't work earlier. You can't drop your kids off till 8 o'clock, or that you're not a morning person. Be honest. If you know that, you should have found that in your research. You shouldn't be surprised when you go interview for a job that they're early start, late start, or they're year round or whatever. You should know those kinds of things. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Again, your strengths are dispositional. I'm honest. I'm forthright. I'm a good person. I'm hardworking. I'm dedicated. I'm ethical. I'm legal. My weaknesses are I just haven't done this job before, or I have limited experience through my internship, but I don't have bad habits. You can train me. I'm trainable. I have enough humility that I'm trained. That's why I said you need that humorous anecdote and be honest and show some humility here, because they're gonna have to train you. And if you're a hard head, it's gonna make it really hard for them. Again, don't discuss salary, experience steps, board pay, those kinds of things. They can't, that's set for an AP. It's not up to the people in charge that are hiring you. That's when you get principal pay. You talk about some of that stuff. Don't engage in gossip or negative talk. I mean, we go to principals meetings all the time. We talk to one another. So if you talk bad about somebody, it'll get back. And that one kind of dovetails into the last one. Don't interview for a job that you wouldn't take just for the experience of the interview. I had a lady that came and interviewed for an English position one time, and I said, boy, you're a really good candidate. Are you interested in working here? And she said, no, I just came here so I can find out what they're going to ask when I go over to Providence. I want to work over there. Okay, everybody wants to work at Providence, but everybody can't. I'm interested, I'm here. I'm only interested in people here. So it's not the interviewer's job to get you experience. If you know you're not going to work there, don't go. Don't do that, because the word will spread and it won't go well for you in administrative circles. If you show up at Happy Valley, that means you won't work at Happy Valley. Not that you really want to work over at Oak Hill, but you want to know what questions they're going to ask you over here. That's not how it works, folks. Don't go to an interview at a place you know you're not going to work. And then here, and I'll go through these quickly as I've got 2 minutes left. Here's my top 10 suggestions for you when you get your first administrative job. At the first, by the time in the first faculty meeting, here's the things you need to have done. In that faculty meeting, this will stand you in good stead. Know everybody's name and what they do. Barring this, move around the room and have the staff introduce themselves. Proximity and eye contact are important. Get an early win, present something positive to the staff. You know, don't tackle the worst problem the school's had for the last 10 years. Get an early win on something easy, like finding a chair for somebody or getting a light bulb replaced. Get some early, easy wins. Establish yourself as a competent person. If the first 2 or 3 things you try don't succeed, even when things succeed after that, that's just luck. Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while. Establish that you're a competent person. Get some easy wins. Give the staff a quick overview of who you are and your professional experience. Quick. Don't read them your resume. Don't talk about all the stuff you've done. Just quick. They'll learn who you are later on. Volunteer for something that nobody else wants to do. Be a servant leader. Lend a hand. That will get you a lot of goodwill with the faculty if you'll volunteer for something nobody else wants to do. I'm talking about something manual, moving books, getting chairs, desks, something like that. Present the opening of school plan and be conversant if you can. I mean, have a role in that first required work day. Smile and laugh at the appropriate times only. Be surprised how hard that is sometimes. Ask questions and take notes. Carry your pad in your pocket. You know, I'm a pad person. I'm old now. I have to carry this big one, but when I was your age, I carried one in my pocket because I could write small enough, have a list of things. So make sure that you ask questions, you take notes. You tell somebody you'll get them something, write it down. You'll get it for them. I mean, I've already, Dr. Stone's already sent you that email. The group that didn't get the email from Julie, but I've got to make sure I get you. I've already written it down to send you all these materials along with the video tonight. Now, recognize somebody for something positive you've seen. Don't just say, I saw a good looking classroom. Whose room was it? Why was it good looking? Yeah, that's really important that you acknowledge what people do. Now, people that, again, that drew the short straw and have to have class with me. Let's see who's here that I hadn't called on in my class right now. Let me see. There's Michelle. All right, Michelle. How do we start class every week?
With a greeting.
Yeah. And then what do I read out every week?
The agenda.
Stars of the week.
Yep.
I call out, and that's our agenda. We call out, we start with our discussion board prompts, and I call out the stars of the week. Why? And specifically say why they're, what they did that caught my eye, that made me happy, that was good. And right here in this book, let me go back up to the top. Right here in this book, you can see for every week of class, every class, I've got the stars of the week in one place. The people that now, I don't know if it matters to them or not, but it matters to me. But it, I know who's doing what. You need to know who's doing what in your building. I'm the bad example. I'm not telling you that I'm good, but what I'm telling you is when you are observing, when you're in charge, when you're leading, you need to be paying attention to what's going on. And if you're old like me and you can't remember it, write it down. That's important to the people that you lead, that you're paying attention. You're doing those walkthroughs. You're doing those, you're awake. You're paying attention to what's going on. That's important to people that you lead. You can't be Mr. Magoo just stumbling through life. You got to have a plan. All right. Don't complain or seem worried about being ready for the opening of school. Guess what? Kids will show up, school will open, whether you're ready or not. No need to worry about it. Nothing spreads fear through a faculty like an administrator that can't hold their water. If you're scared, your teachers will be scared. And then lastly, don't mention how busy you are, how hard you're working. That's the expectation. You're the one who decided you wanted to be a school leader. That comes with the territory. What do you mean you're working hard and you're busy? Well, of course you are. That's understood. No need to mention that. Those are the 4 levels of interviews that you're going to experience. Some of you are already interviewing. Some of you have already interviewed. Some of you are already in the job. You got through this. There's Dr. Stedman. Dr. Stedman runs a charter school down in Pembroke, and he hires people all the time. And this is a good way to kind of end our evening here. I'm going to turn it over. I'll let Dr. Stedman do our close. I appreciate you being with Dr. Stedman. Finish us out tonight with final words of what you're looking for when you're hiring people.
Well, as I spoke to my class this evening, my 605 class this evening, once you've gone through this program, everything that you have learned from this program, your professors, that skill base is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to be able to understand the dynamics of the school, understand you don't have to know everything about curriculum, but you have to understand curriculum. You've got to know where to go and what to do. When it comes to, it's not all about curriculum. It's about the operation of the school operations, law, finance, all of it. I'm looking for somebody that is competent, has gone through a good program like this and is competent in all of those areas. And as I told my class tonight, I was very proud of them, as I am the rest of these students. At this point, Dr. Lamb, the 13 that I had this summer, there's not a one of them that I would not hire at this point.
Excellent.
So, this program has well prepared you. Now it's left up to you to take it and do what you need to do. But again, we're very, very proud of all of you. And it's been my honor to have worked with all of you in some capacity, even if it's coming on and seeing you in town hall sessions like this. So, but anyway, job well done. We're proud of you. Reach out to us. We're all here to help you as you are beginning the journey in this next step. So please reach out to us. But a job well done. We're proud of you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Stedman. All right. We appreciate you being. I'll send all the materials. Dr. Stone has already sent you the link that Julie sent out about licensure. Be looking for South Carolina information next week. I think we've covered everything tonight. So I appreciate you being with me. We'll see you all again soon. I hope to see everybody in Bowling Springs in December. You get to see how big I really am in person. Everybody have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lamb. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.